Okven wasn't a place people visited. It was a place from which they didn't return. It hid in a deep valley where the sun peeked in for only a few hours a day, leaving the rest of the time in long, cold shadows. Alice didn't come here of her own free will. After the sudden and strange disappearance of her parents, her only living relative was Aunt Clara, a woman mentioned in the family only in whispers. Clara was a world-renowned maker of artisan dolls. Her works cost a fortune, and collectors said they had a soul. Aunt Clara's house smelled of dried lavender, mothballs, and something sweet, like old glue. It was the smell of time standing still, and everywhere there were dolls. They sat on shelves, on chairs, peered out from glass cabinets. These weren't children's toys. They were works of art with perfect porcelain skin, real hair, and glass eyes that always seemed to look slightly past you, yet saw everything.
Alice, dear, you're so pale.
Aunt Clara said as she stepped forward. She was a small, withered woman with hands speckled with needle pricks. Her own skin resembled crumpled parchment, and her movements were jerky, like a marionette on strings pulled too tight.
You need to rest. Here in Okven, we know how to preserve beauty.
During the first few days, Alice tried to get used to the silence. The village seemed dead. The rare passers-by she saw through the window moved strangely, slowly, with unnaturally straight backs, never turning their heads. They reminded her of figures in a mechanical clock, performing the same program over and over. But the nights were the worst. Aunt Clara didn't sleep. As soon as the sun went down, a sound began to drift from her attic workshop. The rhythmic, monotonous thumping of an old pedal sewing machine. On the fifth night, Alice couldn't take it anymore. She went up to the attic. The workshop door was ajar. Everywhere lay coils of hair that looked too natural, and boxes of glass eyes sorted by size. On Clara's workbench lay an unfinished project, a doll of a middle-aged man. His face was sculpted with terrifying precision, every wrinkle, every pore. But something was wrong with his chest. It was wide open, and inside, instead of cotton or sawdust, Alice saw a complex framework of dried bones tied with red threads. Alice began to search. She found a locked room in the basement. When she managed to open it, the air hit her with the smell of formalin and wax. It was a special collection. On velvet pillows sat dozens of dolls. They were incredibly realistic, and Alice recognized every one of them. These were the residents of Okven who had supposedly moved away. In the farthest corner, she found them, 2 dolls, sitting hand in hand. Her parents. They were perfect. Too perfect. Alice fell to her knees before them, touching her mother's cold face. And at that moment, the mother doll's glass eyes slowly, with a faint rustle, turned and looked directly at her. There was pure, inhuman horror and a plea in that gaze. They were alive. They were trapped in these bodies, unable to move, doomed to sit forever on the shelf of a mad artisan. Alice rushed for the door, but it was locked from the outside.
You shouldn't have come down here, dear.
Aunt Clara's voice echoed from the darkness of the stairs.
You aren't ready yet. Your material is still raw.
Alice tried to scream, but only a dry rasp escaped her throat. She felt a strange coldness in her limbs. When she tried to take a step, her knee didn't bend smoothly. It clicked. A dry, wooden sound, like 2 blocks of wood rubbing together.
What have you done to me?
Alice whispered, staring in horror at her hands. Her skin was losing its rosy tint, becoming pale, smooth, and shiny, like fresh ceramic.
I am making you perfect, Alice.
Descending into the basement with a large needle and black thread.
Humans are so fragile. They age, they get sick, they die. They make noise and mistakes. I give them eternity. I take away the unnecessary, fear, pain, the ability to speak nonsense. I leave only the pure form.
Aunt Clara worked quickly and skillfully. Alice felt a terrible pressure and tension.
First, we'll close this little mouth that asks too many questions.
She pierced Alice's lower lip with the needle. Alice wanted to scream, but she couldn't open her jaws. Clara began to sew her lips shut with coarse black stitches. Up and down, up and down. Alice felt the thread passing through flesh that was becoming harder, as if Clara were sewing through toughening leather.
There, good girl. Quiet girl.
The witch whispered.
Your parents resisted at first too, but now they are happy. They are always together. And now, the most important part.
Clara pulled a long, thin silver needle from her apron.
This is to fix the soul, so it doesn't flutter inside and ruin my work.
Alice's chest was already hard and cold, like marble. Clara felt for the spot between the ribs, right under the left breast, where Alice's human heart still beat, fluttering in panic.
One little prick, dear, and you will become eternal.
Clara slowly, with relish, began to drive the needle in. Alice felt the tip pass through the hardened skin, through muscles that had become like wax. She felt the touch of cold metal against her hot, living heart. It wasn't pain. It was a moment of absolute standstill. The needle pierced the heart, stopping its rhythm forever. Alice's biological life ended, but her consciousness did not fade. She remained trapped in that perfect, motionless shell. Morning in Okven. Aunt Clara hums as she dusts her special room. On a new shelf, between the dolls of the parents, sits a new figure. It is Alice. She is incredibly beautiful. Her porcelain face is calm, her lips neatly sewn with black thread into a slight, mysterious smile. Her hands are folded on her knees in a gesture of submission. Only her glass eyes look strangely wet. They stare straight ahead at the door, unblinking, eternally waiting for it to open and for someone new to enter, someone alive, whose heart has not yet been stopped by a silver needle. Alice wants to warn them. She wants to scream, but she can only be a perfect, silent doll in Aunt Clara's collection.